Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the Pro Wrestling Show presents the NXT Ring Report. What the NXT Ring Report we have. We're coming off the heels of last week NXT. As you see here, Pretty Deadly won the NXT Tag Team Championship. Pretty Deadly do it again by defending their tag team goal against a, a strange team that they didn't see coming, but we'll get to the latest. As well as new name is Roxanna Perez. She made her debut tonight, and she made her debut in more ways than one. She was supposed to have a debut coming up next week, but she got pushed back a little bit further on. Also, too, um, Braun Breaker accepting the challenge of what's his name? I forget. Joe Gacy. Braun Breaker been Joe Gacy been playing mind games with Braun Breaker, and it finally comes to a head with a championship match. We'll give you the details coming up, as well as Tiffany Stratton is in action. Tiffany Stratton in action against Soraya in a match that many people didn't see coming. And two, on the hot topics, could we be seeing the return of FTR coming back to WWE? They're saying a new report that WWE is interested in bringing FTR back into the fold. We'll get to this all the latest. The Pro Wrestling Show starts right after this. Everyone, welcome to this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, as always, Ken Dix here. Glad you can join us here on the Pro Wrestling Show on this week's edition of NXT. But first thing first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing here on the Pro Wrestling Show. We got a lot to get to. We'll make it quick and efficient in a hurry. But like I said, we had a lot to get to. So let's start off with the NXT Ring Report. All right, NXT Ring Report this week. We know the fact that these were some of the matches that were coming off from the heels of, as well as Pretty Deadly winning the NXT Tag Team Championships last week. So we're coming off the heels of what happened. We know that Tiffany Stratton was in action. She took on Sarai and won over Sarai. Tiffany Storm trying to make a point as well as this Rockets, as Braun Breaker wants a piece of Joe Gacy and wants to know what Joe Gacy is doing with his father's Hall of Fame ring. We'll get to the latest on that. But we're going to start off with this. Grayson Waller was in action. Grayson Waller took on his former bodyguard and cheated and won, which in some fashion, that's how it be sometimes in that notion as well. Also, too, La Familia, El Famigliano was in action. They won over some team and defeated them. We know that especially Santos Escobar was in action as well. Santos Escobar trying to put himself in contention when he went against Camilo Hayes. Match didn't last long as it did, but as we see Source Kyle, Cameron Grimes, and Camilo Hayes, them three will compete in 2 weeks on NXT edition of Spring Break-In. So we're going to see this happening, a triple threat match for the North American Championship in 2 weeks. So we'll see in 2 weeks once these three men try to vie for the NXT North American Championship. Camilo Hayes saying he wants his baby back. Will Sosa Sakai wants to be a crack at be champion, as well as Cameron Grimes as well. Well, we know this. What's his name? He wanted Zac Quinn, saw that Wesley is no longer his partner due to the fact of what had happened. But they didn't stop him after what's his name? Did what he did to get the 1, 2, 3. And Zac Quinn wins his match. But Fortunately, with this, we know what happened. We told you about it a couple weeks ago, and we don't know where Wesley goes further on with that. But only time will tell on that. Nakia Lyons issued a challenge to Natalya to tell Natalya that she want to step up and take her on. Natalya didn't waste no time whatsoever, and Natalya didn't hesitate. So we're gonna see this match going down, going forward, somewhere down the road between Natalya and on the key line. But Natalya won her match over some rookie. Natalya trying to show her dominance in NXT, also trying to help mentor the women in NXT. So we'll see. Natalya versus Nikita Lyons. That's gonna be a match right there. Baby got back from Nikita Lyons is in action against Natalya. We're gonna see the sharpshooter. I'm gonna see that devastating bonsai drop that Nikita Lyons like to do. We'll see. Carolina stepping up. Speaking of stepping up, Toxic Attraction, along with Mandy Rose, the NXT Women's Champion, along with Toxic Attraction, the Women's Tag Team Champions, got to make it clear that Roxanna Perez, who likes playing video games, who's an avid video gamer, and Mandy Rose saying stop playing your video games and step up. She did step up indeed. After she was taking on one of the toxic members, Karen, what's her name, Susie Koo, tried to revamp and remodel their lounge and did so and got the distraction for them and got the win. Roxanna Perez wins over her JC Jane. JC Jane was supposed to win, but it's Jane lost over Roxanna Perez. Roxanna Perez making a statement. She was supposed to debut next week, but she made a quick debut. She is a trainee and a pupil of Booker T. Booker T from the Reality of Wrestling. And I know who she was, Roxy. And then she got something on her belt. She's a former Ring of Honor Women's Champion. So she knows how to get down. She's almost 20 years old. That's fast. She did so tonight by winning her match over JC Jane with Toxic Attraction, get their revenge some way, somehow on Roxy. We'll see. So we talked about this. We talked about Zac Quinn was in action. He won his match over Wesley. I don't know, is they going to form some kind of tag team or something? It could be in the works down the road. It could make a formal tag team and learn from each other. And time will tell on that. All right, speaking of that, we know that what's his name? Joe Gacy was playing mind games. He continues to play mind games with Braun Breaker. He called out Braun Breaker to the ring. Braun Breaker came out there and tried to confront him. And all Gacy wanted was a championship match. Breaker accepted. So we're going to have a championship match in 2 weeks of spring break-in. Gacy set to challenge Breaker for the NXT title. But at the end, Gacy pushed Breaker off of the cliff, and Breaker looked upon hurt response. If Gacy looked on, if Gacy could be the next face of NXT, but that sick and disturbed mind he has. Only time will tell on that. We could see that. That could be the possibility. It could be with Gacy leading the charge. But we'll see. And they're two pretty what's their names? They was in action taking on forgot the team, the girls. We know Devin, not his name, I forgot his name. But you know what I'm talking about. They was in action. They retained their tag team titles. They thought the girls wanted a piece of them, but it wasn't that to be. They was against their Dexter Loomis and what's his name? But they was in action and they lost against Pretty Wonderful. And it came to be it. All right. So that ends the AEW Ring Report. We're gonna leave you with hot topics. On hot topics this week, we heard that Jack Evans, yes, Jack Evans, who used to be a fixture on AEW television, made it clear that he is not re-signing with AEW. He's done with AEW. And when his AEW contract comes at the end of the month, he's done. He want to thank everybody from AEW. He was part of the Matt Hardy family office. You know what I mean? So like I said, Jack Evans wanted to go to different pastures. We'll see going forward. Speaking of that, there's a new report that FTR could be heading back to WWE, but it's a possibility because WWE is interested in bringing back FTR after what they done to FTR all these years. I think they're trying to do the Cody Rhodes effect after Cody Rhodes was a joke. Before AEW started, was a joke with Stardust. He didn't want to do Stardust, but the company didn't want to let him become himself. And then when he left and went off on his own a couple years and founded AEW and came back become a credible star, he had problems with AEW. He decided that he wanted to return to WWE, and now they're giving him the push that he should have wanted in the first place. Could they be doing the same for FTR? Only time will tell. But FTR made a hint that anything's possible to come back in the WWE. Well, we'll see if that's possible for them. But if I was FTR, I would kind of seriously think about it because they're gonna take you serious when they should have took you serious when y'all was first up there, and they let you go because they wanted you to be a comedy act rather than a wrestling act. Sometimes with that comes in mind. All right, we're gonna give you the rundown for tomorrow's AEW Dynamite card. What you should expect tomorrow. Dr. Britt Baker will be back in the hometown against, forgot that girl name, but Danielle Camilla. She used to be something in WWE. They're going to compete for the Orange Heart Cup. We'll see tomorrow, as well as Jungle Boy World Tag Team Champion takes on Kyle O'Reilly into a quarterfinals into the AEW Cup as well. Warlord takes on the Busher. Will MJF be around watching this match? We'll see somehow. As well as Hook, the Handsome Devil, makes his AEW debut, Dynamite debut as well, wrestling. We'll see. +2, CM Punk takes on Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes issued a challenge last week on Rampage, and CM Punk accepted the challenge as well. We'll see that match, as well as the coffin match between Andrade taking on Darby Allin. This finally ends to a match. We'll see tomorrow inside the coffin match was this Darby Allin's specialty, him winning over coffins matches as well. So we'll see all this tomorrow for you to bring you a recap on the AEW Dynamite Ring Report. So for me being Kendra Dick saying so long and thank you for watching, we're going to leave you with the maniacal, deranged Joe Gacy throwing Braun Breaker off of the cliff. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the Pro Wrestling Show presents the AEW Dynamite Ring Report. For me being Kendra Dick saying so long, we'll see you next time for another edition of Wrestling Show.